his son is fantastic. I mean, he's fantastic. Wahoo Jr.
This is Billy Jack Haynes, former WWF Pro Wrestling superstar, and this is Monte and the Pharaoh, the #1 ever radio podcast in the world.
His son is fantastic. I mean, he's fantastic. Wahoo Jr. is a great human being. I really stepped in shit. That's a New York saying for wow. Is this really going on? But yeah, I'm very happy, man. But
That's awesome, though. Congrats.
Thank you. But it snowed. It hasn't snowed in 36 years. And of course, Mike, I didn't just bring, my usual New York jet luck that we suffer through. I brought snow, and I could smell it. I try to tell everybody it's coming. There's no snow shovel plows. There's no salt out here. There's no nothing. I did bring my ice scraper from New York. That saved my ass getting off my shift.
Last week it snowed here. And I moved to Nashville 5 years ago. It snowed here, and my stepdaughter, she just started driving like a couple months ago, and we were like, "Oh fuck, we don't have a snow scraper." So my fiance was out there with a rubber spatula, scraping the windshield.
Nice.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, when you're shoveling, do you end up getting bat wings from the sweat?
Are you back to the
shoveling?
bat? You're back to the bat wings again?
I'm back to the bat wings. Chubby, when you do a lot of sweating when you're shoveling?
I do. I'm sweating right now. I'm sitting here.
Well, let me help you.
He's got bat wings. He's got bat wings right now.
Our new sponsor, Mando.
There you go.
They'll get rid of those bat wings for you, Chubby. All right. You just spray it in between your sack. Get it off your legs, right?
Your sack.
It comes right off.
Sack release spray.
Sack release spray. And the scent is wonderful.
Oh, my God.
And if you use the code MATP, you'll get 5% off.
This is real, too.
This is real. A lot of things that go on here. And guess what? If you're hanging out with the old lady, and of course, in typical Monty form, again,
just like the commercial.
You use this and you smell really good, man. You put it all over yourself. Possibly, maybe get it licked off. Who knows? But you know what?
Hey.
Mando, MATP.
Mando.
There you go, buddy.
Wow.
Anyway. Again, lesson learned. Don't have the YouTube channel on when you're trying to produce another show. You know what I mean?
Mando. For your bat wings.
Let me ask you this, little suspect. Yeah. You think Chubby Dudley really has a fiance? I was thinking about this as a watch.
What?
You think that's like kind of make-believe?
This is what you think about? Chubby Dudley and if he has a fiance or not?
Yeah. I was really thinking about that, Jimmy. I was like, is this real?
I got a deeper question. Since we started this almost a decade ago, is any of this real?
Wait a minute. We started this a decade ago, man?
No, we're not there yet. But when you're in your 8th year, it's fair to start saying things like that.
Is this year number 8? We've been around.
It will be 8 full years from 2017 when we started in around October officially, November of that year. Yeah. So yeah, surprise, Mike. So has any of this been real? Answer the question.
Has it been real?
Well, Chubby Dudley. I mean, it's been a parody of Chubby Dudley's, hasn't it? If your question is legitimate and it's like
Yeah.
goes into the whatever file, then yeah. Like,
Yeah,
is any
no,
of it
like
real?
I don't know, man. Look, I'm not trying. I like Chubby. I don't want to get the reputation of the guys that have people on and
I
then we
like
rip them
Chubby.
apart
Yeah,
after.
and
Yeah, right.
I'll tell you what else I know for sure was real. Sandman advised me not to drive because I would possibly see 37 lanes.
Yeah, well, that was legitimate advice
That was
from the
real.
Sandman. That was real advice. But the question is, it been real? Yeah, it's been real, dude. You know
Oh
what,
yeah,
man? It's
that's why
been
I
a
asked him.
blessing. It has, you know what, dude? I don't think it has not been a blessing. What really? Think about all the things that have come out good from this show with
Oh
just
sure.
lack of the English language.
Yeah,
Uh, you
absolutely. It's
got
definitely
married
been,
off this
you know,
show. We met all these great
true.
wrestlers. I
Yeah.
mean, the bad thing is we got ripped off for $125,000. I mean,
Yeah,
that was a
it's
hurtful
those
one,
yeah, those little by the ways aren't so good. That's true.
you know. So I don't know, man. Is it real? I don't know. I don't even know how to answer that.
The Jets have sucked the whole way, so don't worry about it.
Well, that's Jimmy and I was speaking before the show. I had called him because I was walking my dog, and you know the news had come out that Aaron Rodgers was trashing Jimmy and I's New York Jets, and I was a little disappointed to hear that. So I put it on, and Aaron Rodgers tells you know the story how the new coach Aaron Glenn, who used to be the cornerback for the Jets, and I think he also ended up being a quarterback for the New England Patriots. He's the new head coach for the Jets, and he pretty much just like told Aaron Rodgers, you know, after Aaron Rodgers paid for his own plane to come in and talk to them, just totally disrespected him. And it ended up being like a 40-minute meeting. And as a Jet fan, I just was pissed off about it. I'm like, even if you don't want the guy to be your quarterback, I mean, could you show the guy some respect? He did come into town. I mean, what could be so wrong having a decent meeting, you know?
Well, I do agree with you on that. Uh, when I was analyzing to you over the phone the problem, because the way Aaron described it, I really don't care if he came on his own dime. I'm not worried about how Aaron spends his money, and that's not even a point for me. It's just like, yeah, okay, so what? So you spent money on a flight. You've got more money than God. I don't care about that. What I care about is the fact that if you are having him there in person, that it is only in Aaron's words, it was like 20 to 40 minutes when he thought he'd be sitting there for a few hours discussing what their vision is, what he could do if he comes back to help it. You know, he was expecting an actually advanced, intelligent football strategic conversation. And that's consistent with Aaron. Aaron's a smart guy. I'm assuming he would want to hear the breakdown of what they had. And I don't think he was unopposed to, in his mind, to not coming back. I think he wanted to come back. The deal here is Psycho analyzing it. It's obvious to me what this is. Aaron Glenn wants to be like his idol. He wants to be like Bill Parcells. I was the season ticket holder when Aaron was the player and Bill was the coach, and I saw the immense change in the New York Jets. Mike, don't forget they were 1-15. Bill Parcells starts patrolling those practice sidelines. They go from 1-15 to 9-7, and the next year they're in the AFC Championship game.
Again, this is a
So
Parcells who won a Super
this
Bowl
is
with the
Bill
Giants, right?
Parcells, right? Who won 2 Super Bowls with Lawrence Taylor and the Giants. You know, the guy was a hard ass, the ultimate Marine drilled kind of sergeant type coach. And that's what Aaron Glenn wants to be. So when he asked him, do you still want to play football? When Aaron Glenn asked this question to Aaron Rodgers' answer was, I'm interested. Now, to an Aaron Glenn, what would Bill Parcells do there? What do you mean you're fucking interested? So I already see what Aaron Glenn is wanting to be. To me, and I told you this when it happened, when the Jets decided they were not going to bring back Aaron Rodgers, what did I say to you about Aaron Glenn? He just put the biggest X on his own back because he's going to be target number one if things don't go right. And historically, things never go right for the Jets. So he's put himself in a very vulnerable position. Either it's through stupidity and arrogance, or he might be able to take guys we've never heard of and turn them into football players.
You are
I don't know.
forever the optimist, Mr.
Well,
Farrow,
it has
at
to
least
be
more
half full in the
optimistic
off
than me.
season. This is our Super Bowl. Every off season is our hope for optimism.
Wow.
You
Oh
know
my
it.
God.
You know it, and you call me optimistic after what I just said. I know what this is. This is the off season where we get to hope, pray, and dream, and then by the time my birthday hits, the season's over. You think I don't know this already?
Understood. For us New York fans, baseball's over already. That team is showing its true colors quickly.
What?
The
It's not
Yankees
over.
are
They're
off.
going to slow torture us. It's
You think
not
it's going to be a
slow-
slow torture, huh?
Absolutely. Come on. What are they, 9-7? Well, the last I checked yesterday, they were in first place 9-7 by a half a game, and it's going to be one of these slow water torches. They're not going to ultimately get the championship, barring a miraculous run. Don't ask that to happen.
Rangers didn't make the playoffs, right?
Yeah, Rangers went from President's Trophy winners to missing the playoffs. And if you're an optimist, you could say that back in 1991, the Rangers won the President's Trophy with Messier, by the way, missed the playoffs the next year, and then they won the Cup. Yeah, but that was Messier. There's no Messier on the Rangers. Mike, I swear to God, if you went out there in skates and hit any of them, they'd crumble. They're soft. Rangers
That's what I
are
heard.
soft.
That's hard. But you know what? Our audience goes well beyond New York sports. So,
Of course.
let's hit this little subject before we get into some other news.
This is going beyond New York sports. Why am I looking at
Well, it's going beyond New York sports because
going beyond the world as we know it? What's going on here?
that is right. So let me just get this set up here, Jimmy, because I again had it on the wrong page. News of the week: scientists find the strongest evidence yet of the life of an alien planet. Reuters has reported a potential landmark discovery. Scientists using the James Webb Space Telescope have obtained what they call the strongest signs of yet a possible life beyond our solar system, detecting in an alien planet's atmosphere the chemical fingerprints of gases that on Earth are produced only by biological processes. The two gases, dimenthol sulfide, or DMS, or dimenthol disulfide, or DMDS, involved in the Webb's observation of the planets named K2-18b. Or this is where you just show Monte the Pharaoh dopes. Are generated on Earth by living organisms, primarily microbial life, such as marine phytoplankton algae, that suggests that a plant may be seemingly with micrological bio life, and researchers said, whatever. Anyway, they have figured out that there is possible life on another planet.
So they think that there might possibly be some fucking plant outside the universe. Okay, here's my message to NASA. Do me a favor. Figure out if there's life on any of these planets directly around us right now, would you? Would you? Because there's like a dwarf planet behind Venus or something like that. Did you
How
know
about is there life on this planet? Is there normal life on this planet?
No, there's no normal life on this planet. We're not going to even make it a 10th as long as the dinosaurs.
Do you believe in aliens?
Do I believe in possible life somewhere else?
No, let me rephrase that.
What?
Do you believe aliens have visited this planet and they have taken human beings as hostages, as people have claimed, and brought them up into spaceships and plotted and probed them and everything else?
I don't know. Do you believe in Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster?
I used to believe in Bigfoot. I don't anymore. Loch Ness Monster, I do believe it.
Really? Okay.
Not anymore. I don't believe it exists anymore, but I think in the late 30s and 40s there was a prehistoric dinosaur or something to that fact that lived in the Loch Ness waters. Yes.
You think that it was possible that could be an Elasmosaurus that goes back to the dinosaur age? Because that's the one description that fits. Look, anything's possible. I don't think the good book instructs that there is life somewhere else. So I try not to think about that stuff too much. If there is life somewhere else, look, the universe is supposedly infinite. Who knows? But if a plant possibly somewhere outside this universe, big deal. You found something with algae or something that's like algae. What am I hearing? All of these fancy schmancy words. It sounds to me like they found some sort of sliver of organism evidence that there might be a plant somewhere else in the universe. Okay. Get back to me. Let me know when you find that guy with the space modulator.
Happy birthday, Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper, we lost in 2015. It's been that long already,
Wow.
Rod. He was 61 years old. So what would that put us now? It's 71, Jimmy, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Thoughts on the great Hot Rod?
What, outside of he's probably your, I don't know where he ranks with you, but he's got to be in your top 3.
Oh, he's in my top 5 for sure.
Okay. What do I think of Roddy? You know what I think? I think I saw a rare video of him after he had worked WrestleMania 4 or 5, where he did a territory appearance. I didn't even realize or remember Roddy got pretty big, didn't he? Buffed.
Yeah, he got for WrestleMania 1, man. He was pretty jacked. He was definitely hitting the juice.
This is after They Live and stuff. Now he's.
Oh yeah, well, he was big for that movie,
dude. He was really beefed. I mean, roids going on or what?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
I ask you.
Roids, definitely was hitting the roids.
Yeah.
The thing that always shocked me about Piper, because as we got to know the business and you hear the stories, he's definitely a big time cokehead, which was
that's too bad.
A little bit surprising. You know what I mean? I mean, we've heard stories on the show, but I just would not have thought he was that guy.
No, I actually would have pegged him to be that guy. And it's sad. I kind of get it. Roddy Piper might have been a shy young man, when Karen first encountered him all those years ago. She told me the story when he showed up at the door with Wahoo plastered in the back seat and stuff like that. And this young, fresh-faced kid, Roddy Piper, was informing Karen that Wahoo's too messed up to even get in the house. He was a very shy, polite young kid to her. But over the years, as he became a huge star and stuff, Roddy was very nervously energetic as a person. I think that the Roddy we saw as a character wasn't far away from what Roddy became in real life. I think Roddy ran the race really fast. He knew it too. He used to say in interviews, there was one interview, I'm sure you remember, where he said, "I'm not going to live to be an old man." He was aware of how fast he was internally.
But let me not.
His nerves.
I always
so
remember in 2009, I made my first attempt at being trying to promote a wrestler at a wrestling show.
Right.
And I was promoting Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
Again, forethought, if I knew nothing about this, I had pictures made for people who bought them. Learning the business now from Sims or Captain's Corner or all the rest of these guys. The one thing they do is they get a ton of shit signed, right? Way ahead of to go in their stuff. If I would have had just throw it 50 Roddy Piper autographs, they sell for $300 a piece. You know what I'm saying? Could have killed it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I always remember, great guy, nice guy, but he was older too at that time, right? So he died in 2015 at 61. I had him in 2009. He's talking 6 years, so just call him.
He's 55 years old.
Yeah, call him 55, right?
Uh-huh.
He definitely was doing something, man. And I don't want to disparage the guy, but I remember I had to walk him back to the locker room because, his son was with him, and they're like, you got to walk this dude back. So that's, that was again, Piper's in my top 5, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But, at 55 years old, if you're still, I'm not saying he was, but if you're still blowing coke, dude.
Yeah, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, you're just looking for shit to happen. I mean,
really, you really have to examine yourself at that point. I mean, to be very honest, and we always tell it like it is best we can. When I was younger, I had a problem with it, but I was in my 30s and I was like, what the hell am I doing? You actually realize, and I didn't have a problem. I really should say that too. It was just from time to time I was doing it, and I'm like, it was the people I was around and stuff. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? I got that moment way before it was too late. And I'm like, and like I said, I didn't do anything dangerously overindulging, but still, if you're doing it, it's dangerously overindulging, possibly.
Listen, but when you're younger, you don't realize you're risking your life, especially in today's day and age. I gotta be honest with you, I can't imagine that. With fentanyl, these kids are crazy. I don't even know how you smoke weed without worrying that you're gonna get fentanyl.
Well, I don't worry about that because it's coming through state. All
Right.
right. Like I have a license, and it's coming through the state, and everything is approved by the state, and that's where I get mine. So I know it's lab tested, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
So I'm okay with that. Getting it off the street, I agree. I heard they're putting fentanyl now, Mike, down here in cigarette vapes. What
Oh
the
yeah,
hell?
dude.
What the hell?
My biggest fear. My biggest fear. They're gonna put fentanyl in food. You go to McDonald's, get some crazy man there, crazy woman. I'm not. Don't say McDonald's. Some burger place because we don't want to get in trouble, right? And some
Right.
dude throws fentanyl on your hamburger. It's like microscopic. Will kill you.
Well, honestly, I feel like that's the next form of terrorism that could appear, because if they really want to do some damage, they could start sticking it in toothpaste. Everybody brushes their teeth, I hope, unless you're one of those indie wrestlers I watched jump off a roof this week. I'm serious. I mean, by the way, let me get that in fast. Some of the garbage that these guys are putting their bodies through just to get their 2 seconds of whatever. I'm like, what are you doing? You're wrestling at a high school. You're jumping off the building.
Dude, it goes back. It goes back to last week. Like,
stupid, man.
People they just want that 5 minutes of fame. They want to be that hot 2 girl, and hopefully they do something that just hits it
Right.
big. I mean, look
Right.
at those guys that do the Costco guys.
Uh-huh.
I mean, who would have ever thought the Costco guys would be what they are? You know what I'm saying?
Who's the Costco guys? I don't even know who that.
It's a guy that used to be an indie wrestler, and I think it's his kids, and they used to do videos. The kid's like a short, like heavy kid, the kids when they were like fat, they're cute, you know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
they hit the internet. So
Yeah.
everybody's looking for it. By the way, I want to tell everybody, well, you know what? We got time to do a roll call, Jimmy. Okay, quick on the roll call.
Hit it.
Jay Will in the house. Jay, how are you?
Will.
Phil's back on the baseball land with his son, so I hope his son is killing it. Nice. Jeslamic Slav State, I'm sorry. Hello, how are you? Sorry, I'm having trouble reading on that. Who else we got? Tom Jones, always in the house. Big Tom,
Jones.
Good to see you. RJ Hudson, great to see you.
RJ, what up?
Mike Roberson. Coach is back. Good to see Coach.
Coach from New York.
Coach from New York.
We have Coach tomorrow from Florida. Don't forget Mike, by the way.
Yes. Mob Rots Exposed. By the way, he said They Live, great movie. And I have to agree.
God.
They Live is one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's an excellent movie. It's Roddy's greatest movie. Roddy's awesome in that movie. What about the fight scene in They Live? That's one of the best fight scenes ever.
Dude, that was like not planned.
There is something organically great about that fight. I mean, you really buy into it, and it goes on and on and on. I'm like, oh my God, they're killing each other.
Mob Rats Exposed. I said it wrong. I'm gonna put him on there. He's a new subscriber.
Nice. Welcome aboard. Thank you.
Welcome aboard, Mitch Seinfeld, my man. Who?
What's up, Mitch?
Always my guiding force in the morning. We have long conversations. I was telling Mitch today. I'm going to share this with everybody. I was saying how much I respect Mitch, just on the point, Jimmy, that Mitch you could have a conversation with, and in today's day and age, when you're on other sides of the fence, have like people just don't listen to each other. Mitch always is very easy to talk to. We don't agree all the time, not even close. But it's like we always have this polite, like you and me, we have a polite conversation. We don't yell at each other. We listen to each other, and and you hope for the best, right? I mean, that's the type of shit I'm not. It's very hard to speak to people nowadays because they don't want to let people speak, if that's lack of a better word, I guess. Or
nowadays, people's conclusions don't allow any inclusiveness with others unless it fits their window. See, what Mitch gets, what you get, what I get is that without, you can have whatever values you have, but without diplomacy, we're all done.
Mm-hmm.
We're done. Okay? It's the ability to communicate is what makes us separated from every other species on this planet. We're able to actually have conversations. So if you have already shut your ears off, there's nothing I can say to you. And oddly enough, that happened with the preacher from Nazareth when he said that it doesn't matter what I say to you. I'm paraphrasing, but in so many words, the message was, you're not listening anyway. Why would I talk to you?
Very good. Very well done.
I mean,
Jimmy, I want to. We've got a new segment that I'm going to make a banner for starting next week, and it's going to be called "Shut Up and Wrestle, right? So
Shut Up and Wrestle.
Shut Up and Wrestle. It's about wrestlers that just need to wrestle and just shut up the rest of the way.
Interesting.
Last week we had Jordan Grace on, who is clearly too buff to be diving through ropes, and everybody saw it. She clips silly. And falls on her head, right?
Silly.
So it's like, just shut up and wrestle, dude.
Yeah.
Well, on today's Shut Up and Wrestle, and I want you to listen, I need you to weigh in.
Oh, God.
Jeff Hardy decides he's going to cover Alice in Chains' Nutshell. I want everybody to listen, and then Jimmy, being the rock star that you are, I want you to evaluate this. You ready?
Oh, no.
Now, real quick,
that's all I get?
I'll give you more. I don't know why, but go ahead. Hold on.
They spent that time and yet I fight this battle alone. No one's got.
Time out.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. You see, you can't. You see, this gets back to my point.
Hold on. I'm sorry. When you're putting why don't you put the X up?
I didn't. Well, I'm not in need of medical attention, but if you had kept playing it, I would have put the X up.
All right. Okay. So let me hear your evaluation, sir.
Oh, okay. Like, getting back to the point of diplomacy, the reason why I asked you to play a little bit more is that if you're having a conversation with somebody and you might have opposing point of views, hear them out a little bit. That's why I asked you to play a little bit more.
Understood.
Okay. So when we start to get to the more, first of all, he tried. I'll give him that.
Oh,
he tried.
Wow! Congratulations. Can I just say something before you continue on?
What made me the
musician? I would have hit him. I would have been one of the guys that hit him with a battery.
Okay. And then played Battery from Metallica the right way?
No, I just would have thrown batteries at him so he shut up and got hit in the head. But go ahead.
Well, getting back to you tried. Unfortunately, part of my reputation as far as working with back in the day is I could be a little bit like Tony Soprano myself. So unfortunately, I got about a big shirt on too. What a coincidence, So basically, I would be like, "You tried, and get the fuck off."
You tried.
You tried. He tried. His phrasings were very short and safe. The thing that made Lane Staley, so great was there was nothing safe about him, and his power and control of his voice make him, outside of Chris Cornell from that decade, the most powerful thing that existed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all there is to it, because when you hit the notes that he hits in Man in the Box with the Jesus Christ notes, are you kidding me? It's like a banshee.
I want to give you my quick evaluation. I want to give you my quick evaluation, and you weigh in on this, okay? So, Nutshell in particular. So when you listen to Alice in Chains, even someone like me who can't sing, there's a sound from Alice in Chains that almost makes you think you can sing it, right? Because it has this melody that's kind of soft but haunting.
Yeah, but the control factor is so...
Well, that's my point. When you actually try to sing it, you understand how difficult these songs are. And to me, it's like this. Jeff, I totally get it. You want to sing. Don't hack up a great song like Nut, because he destroys that song. It is such a bad rendition. When I heard it, I'm like, I'm playing it. You're lucky you're Jeff Hardy, because if you were Mike Monty on stage, they would have threw lettuce at you.
Yeah. One of the we were more known for originals back in War Dance days, but one of the favorite, most requested covers we used to get asked to be played was Black from Pearl Jam. And it was a song that requires, like you just said, it makes you think you can sing the song. But once you start to try to sing what Eddie Vedder does on Black, the control, the breathing, and then the increased power as the song builds. He gets stronger and more muscular with his voice. These are things called dynamics. Jeff Hardy did not have these dynamics in the few seconds you played for me, and you're right. He's lucky he's Jeff Hardy, because to be able to sing Black, Jeff Hardy could never do that, especially by the end of the song where Eddie's almost crying out the notes. You know, could it be more? And he's raising and going higher, and oh my God, you know, Jeff Hardy, like you said, he got a really nice guitar. I'll tell you that. When I'm listening to the tone of that guitar, it sounds beautiful.
That guitarist, whoever was playing guitar, was very good.
That's because
Jeff
Hardy's got the money for a guitar like that. He's Jeff Hardy. You know?
Well, that wasn't Jeff Hardy playing, dude. That was somebody else playing, right?
The song that he's attempting to do, if I'm not mistaken, was the opening number for Alice in Chains on MTV Unplugged with the candelabras and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Go watch that, folks. You want to see a master painting a picture? Go watch Alice in Chains on MTV Unplugged from back in the glorious days of MTV Unplugged.
I just think to myself, Jimmy, just because you were a good wrestler and possibly a Hall of Famer and you love to sing, don't bring that shit to the stage. I mean, putting your hand out like this, feeling the crowd doesn't fucking represent what Alice in Chains did. You know, stick to something different, like something easy, like the Turtles, right? Happy Together. Like, do Happy Together. You can't fuck up that song, right?
Oh, yes, you can. I've seen people do it.
Really?
And
That's great.
and let me put it this way, too. Don't you ever insult the Turtles that way. Okay? And the reason why I'm saying that is I'm hammering home your point that Jeff Hardy should stick to what he sticks to. Shut up and wrestle. All right? Because the Turtles were musicians. I know that they were packaged silly, but so were the Monkees. And the Monkees were good musicians, too. You know, I don't care if that's a popular opinion or not. Fuck that shit. You know, some of the guys in the Monkees were really talented. And what, Davy Jones couldn't sing? What? Excuse me?
Davy Jones was a great singer.
You know, he's a voice of a generation to a lot of people. What are you talking about? Of course he could sing.
So I would say the first two segments, 2 weeks in a row, Shut Up and Wrestle.
Absolutely.
This is Shut Up and Wrestle. Stay tuned next week where who knows what else we'll find. But, you know, Jeff Hardy, much respect for your wrestling ability. Stick to it because you can't fucking sing, bro. Yeah. Just give it a break, please. Yeah. So last night, Dark Side of the Ring, the Too Much Too Soon, Tony Atlas, which Monte The Pharaoh have made their second appearance on the Dark Side of the Ring family. Our video clip was used, which is a great thing. And like, before we get into Tony Atlas, I did want to say something that I thought was funny, Jimmy. Coming off the Missy Brutus Beefcake interview we had, which is doing very well on all of social media. We had in March, hear this, Jimmy, between all of social media, right? Not including New York cable, which I haven't even played that interview for New York cable, 3.7 million views / listens. So thank you everybody for supporting us. Incredible. That interview did well. So what does our boy Hannibal do? He goes and gets Brutus Beefcake for an interview, and he starts talking about Missy, and Brutus starts talking about our show, and he cuts it and takes it out because God forbid you say our name on your podcast. It's like, we have become taboo, Jimmy. How does that make you feel? We are taboo in this world.
Makes me feel really, really good. You?
It makes me feel like I'm grateful for everybody in this room on Thursday that supported us all these 8 years, which you don't even realize. And they've supported us and a lot of love. Again, got your haters, but, you know, I do. Who cares? I could care less about haters. And again, you know, going back to the beginning of the show, I don't regret a single second of it at all. I will say this. Gerard, the last ring boy, which we named him. Right. You know, Jimmy, I will say this. I'm going to open it up with this. I am almost regretting, you talked about regretting stuff. I am regretting bringing the ring boy scandal to life. That was a forgotten, dead subject until Lee Cole, right after his brother's death, came on our show. How many years ago? I don't remember. And this thing just doesn't go away now. Right? No one even remembered this shit. And, you know, Cole's got his own channel, which I don't mind mentioning, Wrestling with the Devil, right? It's supposedly doing well on YouTube.
it puts you a moral notch above Hannibal. But go on, I digress.
Right. So at one point last year, we brought on the last ring boy, which we named him Gerard Merlet, who was pro Mel Phillips. He had a relationship with Mel, and he stood by Mel. And again, on this show, we have our opinions, but when we're interviewing, it's their time to talk, not ours. We ask hard questions, but we don't come with an agenda. I will tell you that Gerard, revealed to me that his ultimate goal was just to be part of a wrestling podcast. There's nothing wrong with it. Anyway, lo and behold, last week he shows up on Wrestling and the Devil, and they interview Gerard. So if anyone knows, since that video has been taken down anyway.
The guy that Lee was so angry that we had let come on.
Yes. That he was furious that we let him on.
The hypocrisy of this all. Go on.
So Cole, along with his partner, the puppet, who just goes along with whatever Cole says, they totally destroyed Gerard, right? They just made, between cuts on, they were cutting video, so it wasn't live. Between the cuts on the video and the way they presented it, I was so upset with Gerard for going on that show. I actually wrote him in anger. Like, what are you doing? You went into enemy land without backup, and they destroyed him. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're a fan and you're watching that show, you're like, Gerard was in a relationship, some sort of relationship with Mel Phillips, and he's protecting him because maybe they were lovers, whatever the case may be, right? So,
ew.
I'm not saying that's what. I'm just saying you come out of that interview, you're like, Gerard,
Yeah.
Mel Phillips is a piece of trash, right?
Well, you know how I feel about all of this. Like the first time you told me we were going to have Leon, I was like, in general, I don't like to sensationalize. I do understand it's part of the business and we have to address this shit. So I was like, okay, deal with him. It was after that I was like, okay, we've interviewed him. I felt the same way that Jim Morrison felt to Ed Sullivan after Ed Sullivan said, "You'll never be on the show again." He said, "I just did your show." So the way I saw it was he was on the show. Can I give you a thank you, fuck you, bye? Am I allowed to do that? Sorry, Jim.
Well,
Cornette,
let me ask you this, and we'll put this to bed. What is Jimmy Farrow's actual thoughts on the whole Tom Cole situation?
Mike, we've talked to them a billion times, and at the end of the day, all we got was something about a van and tickling feet. Right? At the end of the day. So what do you think I think about it, guys? I think that without any concrete proof, there's no proof. So go back and forth, sensationalize Lee, make a fucking living out of it if you can. Good luck to you, Mazel Tov. I don't care. He's in the circular file to me.
So, but fair to say,
was never arrested for any of this. Nobody was ever arrested for any of this. True or false?
I agree. He has not.
So to me, like, even with all the grilling and talking to and all this other shit, all we got was a van, a weirdo, and tickling of feet.
What
am I supposed to do with that, Mike?
So so your point is, you feel it's just money hunger, like trying to make some money somewhere along the way.
I felt like that after the first time we talked to him, and he was still reaching out to you. I was like, you know me. Do you think? Okay, let's cut right to the chase on how Pharaoh feels. If you think that I was the one doing that, the booking in that particular case, am I booking him again, Mike?
No.
Well, there you go. There it is, folks. Bada bing.
Beautiful.
You like that? How I do that? It's like Dumbo. I just
episode 4, Mr. USA, Tony Atlas. Too soon, too fast, too soon. Whatever the fuck it was.
Mike, now you got to take over on this because I haven't seen this yet.
But here's the thing, though, Jimmy. So it's basically everything that we know about Mr. USA. Okay,
we know him well. He's one of the wrestlers we've actually.
Let's draw back in the fan perspective, right? Tony Atlas, young kid. Part of his story, again, he's told the story either on the Roddy show, our show, or whatever numerous shows he's been on. As a kid, he got his head split open. He took a massive head injury. The parents didn't have any money. The mother didn't have any money to bring him to the hospital, and they just prayed for him, and he recovered. And then he says that he prayed to God that he just wanted to be big, strong, and with lots of money. So Tony goes on to become a bodybuilder. Ricky Steamboat's on the episode. They discuss about competing, against each other. Atlas, his first year in pro wrestling in 1970 something, made $100,000. I mean, if you put that in today's dollars, that's got to be $500,000, right? Give or take. Is that fair?
Probably more.
Right.
But if you prorate to today's numbers. Yeah.
And Tony being an African-American wrestler, which we all know as all wrestling fans who watch his show, this was for a very long time a white man's sport. Very hard for a black athlete really to break their way into pro wrestling. I think they had one per region. And Atlas talks about the racism and on and on and on. They go into the Rocky Johnson thing and, nothing that you don't know, I don't know. But he does tell the story, and he told the story of Monte The Pharaoh that he was actually plugged in. The story he told us is, and I need you to weigh in on this because I hope I remember it right, that Vince McMahon Sr. had decided to make Tony Atlas in a face versus face match defeat Bob Backlund for the world's WWF at the time heavyweights championship. On the dark side of the ring, he doesn't talk about who's a champion, but he tells a story that Chief Jay Strongbow tells him that, hey, Tony, tonight's match is going to be the most important match of your night. Atlas decides that he wants to go have some woman in L.A. step on his face. He thinks he has enough time to get to L.A., see this girl, and then get back in time for the match. He no-shows it, and he will never be considered for a WWE champion again. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if that's the truth and that's what Tony did, then it's on Tony. And Tony knows that. It's on him. Now,
but do you think that Vince Sr., they were actually at that time
I find
considering...
I find the very thought of doing that absurd.
Thank you. So do I.
Yeah, I find that to be absurd. And I'll say this much. While it is true that it was much more difficult and that they were almost like specialists to be, an African-American professional wrestler, the facts are is that Tony was one of them that got through that door, that broke that or crashed through that glass window, glass ceiling, whatever you want to call it. He was given opportunities from very early on. I watched his career. I remember seeing right away Tony Atlas was booked with respect. Right away. He had a body that couldn't miss, and it's because of his dedication to his bodybuilding that got him into this business. So he deserves credit for becoming a great bodybuilder. And then being able to break through the glass ceiling. But when you look like that, Mike, you would have taken him then. You would have taken him now. The shape that he was in, he was concrete structure.
Well, Jerry Briscoe said he was a great wrestler too. He was a very good wrestler
he
too.
He threw a great drop kick, Mike.
Oh,
Back
yeah,
in those days, there weren't guys who were fluid like that. I mean, his drop kick would work today. I mean, his drop kick was beautiful.
And I will tell you this, Jimmy. So, guys, when we first met Tony and we were first interviewing Tony, Jimmy and I used to go, man, they never let that guy talk on the mic. This guy's a great talker. But, you know, Jimmy, during the dark side, they were showing like him in like Georgia Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
He was rapping. He was doing a Tony Atlas rap. So maybe we just weren't paying close enough attention because I remember him in the WWF back then. He was the cleanup guy. He was Ivan Putski. It was Ivan Putski, Tony Atlas. When a heel was on his way out, you either faced one of those and they finished you off and you were sent on your way.
Right.
That's the way it worked.
They were top of the card faces, though.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
They existed in the penthouse of faces. They were there. They were always protected in their booking. They weren't guys that lost very often, if never. Hogan could never beat the heel Hogan with Blassie could never beat Tony Atlas. It never happened. I was like, Jesus God, when's he going to beat this guy?
Well, they show him pressing, the famous picture, him pressing Hogan, right?
Yeah. Hogan lose every time to him by count out.
Yeah. Or got pinned. I remember didn't he get pinned too?
Got pinned.
So it was like,
what the heck,
But here's the thing, though.
Here's
two of my favorite memories of professional wrestling to this day are two. When we finally got cable and we could watch Georgia Championship Wrestling, and Tony Atlas was at the Omni going to wrestle Ric Flair. Okay? We never got to see these Omni matches, but they show it later on, and he beats Flair by countout. And all the kids come running into the or it might have been, I'm sorry, on Georgia Championship Wrestling before that match. All the kids come and they run into the ring. My second one is, and I'll still say it to this day, it's probably one of my favorite tag team matches of all time. When him and the Soul Man Rocky Johnson beat the Samoans for the world titles. That was, oh my God, I freaking lost it. I loved it.
I was a Tony Atlas fan from day one.
Yeah.
So to see him finally have a belt of any kind, you know, and him and Rocky, of course, were great together, two chiseled statues. So I was very happy to see Tony. I always rooted for Tony. And then I got confused with the Samba, whatever the hell Vince did.
Well, they asked him about that, and they're like, did you think Vince wanted to embarrass you? And Tony goes, I had no money.
Right.
He goes, I would have wore a pink tutu if he told me to wear it.
Right.
Because they were showing a point where Roddy Piper goes, that's not Saba Simba, that's Tony Atlas. And they were trying to, saying Vince was trying to destroy him. And I'm thinking to myself,
well, it's not a good look. I mean, come on, man.
But dude, Tony was desolate in Maine.
I know,
high on cocaine.
But why? But Vince didn't have to bring him back like that. Come on.
At that time, it was all gimmick stuff anyway, dude.
I
know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you're right. It was consistent with Cartoon Land because that's what Vince was doing right then. But geez, really?
This is the one thing I didn't understand. When he went to WCW, they brought him as a heel, but he lost to everybody.
Yeah,
it's like I never understood that. Like he could have been a vicious heel.
What Tony Atlas could have been, instead of us having to sit through Pedro, and I wouldn't change Tito, but I might change Pedro. I wouldn't have minded if Tony had held the Intercontinental title back in those days. I could see him beating Morocco or Valentine. Why does it got to be Pedro?
Well, that's true.
I mean, that's in other words, what I'm getting at is that's the time period where if you're going to put a belt on Tony Atlas, you do it in the early 80s. Understand? That's when it.
Listen, you know what? I'm perfectly fine the way it worked out. When they won those tag team belts,
still a great career.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Here's the one thing, though, Jimmy, I got to tell you. So I never met his wife, right? So, we've talked to Tony, man. We're friends with Tony. He's good guy.
Are we friends, though, with him, Mike?
There you go. I knew you were going to say it. And I was going to say, let me not tell a let me not lie, right? So, but the one thing is at the end of the thing, they show him and his wife, and he talks about how his wife took him out of, being, drugged up in Maine, wanting to kill himself, and how his wife, Monica, how she took him in. And it was kind of touching because when Vince had called him to come back to WWE, she was upset because she thought he was going to leave her, right? Okay, now everything's good for me. I'm out.
Right.
And Tony says before they go into later on what happens to Monica, but basically he owed Monica's life and he would never do that to her. And then they show Monica, Monica had a stroke. And I know this to be a fact because he's called me from the hospital room so many times. He goes there every day, spends 10 hours over there taking care of her, brushing her teeth, cleaning her, being with her. And I thought to myself, this is a good guy. This is a guy that could have called it a day with his wife. It goes back to the days when we were feuding with Roddy, and then I'll never forgive when Roddy brought on Tony's stepdaughter.
Yeah.
If anyone remembers that might have been one of the most low down fucking maneuvers by anybody I've ever seen. And it was pretty disgusting. And when I looked how he took care of his wife, I'm like, this man didn't deserve that. Why, for a fucking podcast? Because, it was just awful.
Agreed. Look, Tony's a survivor. I think he's a good guy. I just hope he doesn't talk about politics and religion while he's brushing her teeth.
He probably does, dude.
Oh, God. Oh, could you imagine?
So he had wrote me the other day, and he said, did you watch? Wasn't the other day. I think it was yesterday, right? Because it was Wednesday. It came on. Today's Thursday. Yeah. So wait a minute. Tuesday it was on. Sorry. So
Okay.
Tuesday he wrote me Wednesday. He goes, "Did you watch?" I said, "Yeah," but I kind of fell asleep, right? And so I watched it yesterday, and I saw mine. Got to see Monte the Pharaoh on Dark Side of the Ring. Got to give this a cheap pop. But I wrote him and I said, Tony, you confirmed to me that you're a good man. That's what I wrote him, because he is a good man. He's a good man. Anybody,
I've always felt
it
that
takes a
way.
lot out of a person, Jimmy, to take care of someone that's got nothing left in the tank.
Yeah.
Let's be
Well,
honest.
it shows compassion and loyalty.
There you
doesn't
go.
it?
Loyalty. Love it.
And compassion. You have to have both. You can't. Loyalty is one thing, but if it's not emotionally driven, I worry about the degree of loyalty. I mean, she's not well. She's there for him when he's not well. You have to repay the kind deed. You should. Otherwise, what's the point of existence? If we all treated each other that way, I think we do a lot better as a whole. And I wish there were more Mr. Rogers, but unfortunately, we only experienced one that was actually like that, which is sad. Could you imagine the politicians all spoke to each other the way Fred Rogers spoke to the Senate that day when looking for additional funds for public television for children? Could you imagine what kind of world we would live in?
Do you think that Fred Rogers, if he would have known Monte the Pharaoh would have their own TV program, would have been so positive about getting funding?
I think he would have avoided us like the plague, and that's a shame because I've always admired his morals. I would try to explain to him that I'm sorry, but you're the 1% of the 1% that's actually a decent human being. I hate to break it to you, but the rest of us suck, and we're working on it.
There you go. Hey, so tomorrow we're making our. I still think it's on. We're making our usual appearance on ESPN Florida, right?
Yeah.
Always excited for that with the great coach. So we'll be on ESPN, the Afternoon Underdogs.
There we go.
So we'll be on there. But on tonight's show, I'm jacked for WrestleMania this year. I hope you're jacked for us. I know you're going to be working. I know that's going to piss you off.
By the way, can I get this out of the way?
Go ahead.
I'm getting so tired of this too. I work through everything.
I know, dude.
I can't take it. I worked through Thanksgiving. I worked through Christmas. I worked through Christmas Eve. I worked through New Year's and New Year's Eve. I worked through Valentine's Day. I worked through St. Patrick's Day. Here comes Easter. Guess who's working? WrestleMania is coming. I'm working. I'm like, oh my God, I miss everything.
Yeah, that's what I think about you on that.
I will be watching WrestleMania, but it will be in the middle of the night. I'm still going to enjoy it just as much, though. So at least I'll have that.
All right, so we're going to go through the matches. We're going not make predictions, but we're going to make an analysis. But I'm asking you now. We say it all the time. Let's think intelligently, not with our hearts this time, and let's see how we do. We're going to finally say we're going to use our intelligence instead of what we want to happen, because that fucks us up all the time.
You're right.
All right?
Agreed.
All right, so here we go. This is not analyzed. This is not any particular order, but it is done by night 1 and night 2.
Okay, good.
All right, so the first one up. Hold on, I just want to bring up my script, dude. Bear with me. I'm working off of one computer tonight, so forgive me.
Understood. What the heck is that on my right?
Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano.
Is that supposed to be Chad?
That is supposed to be Chad, sir. But we don't know. It's El Grande Americano.
You think it could be Hogan?
Could be Hogan.
That would be cool. Get booed out of the building, though, unfortunately. That would not be cool.
So what are you thinking here, bro?
All right. Well, here's what I'm thinking, and let's be logical. Does Rey Mysterio do the job for Chad Gable, also known as El Grande Americano?
Oh, yes. I'm going all the way with El Grande Americano. This is a new gimmick that's getting over pretty good. It's funny. He's winning on Raw. I can't remember if he lost the Penta. I think he lost the Penta the first match, but after that, he's been winning. I think he beat Dragon Lee.
Big deal.
Which is no big thing, right? But
big deal. He lost to the one that counts so far. Penta,
I think it's Ray's time, right? Ray's time's to do the job and keep pushing, right? What do you think? Now think intelligently. Now we got to think intelligently.
I don't see a future in El Grande Americano's gimmick. And does Chad Gable factor so much into the card overall that if he loses, anyone cares, or if he wins, are they really going to push this gimmick forward? Like, Chad Gable has become a lesser form of Dolph Ziggler booking for a while now, and to his credit, at least he got that far. You really think that he walks out of here with a
I'm going
win
to say
against
that
Rey Mysterio?
El Grande Americano is getting over, and
Wow.
it does nothing for Rey Mysterio if he wins. It does everything. And you know what? Let's think about it this way. Let's just talk about Chad Gable in general, right? The WWE usually gives give backs at some point. He's been doing the job for everybody for how long? Sooner or later, you got to give the dude the give back, right?
Well, I know this much. If they do this for Chad Gable, this is a real nice thing to do for Chad Gable, because you're right. The guy's owed. He's owed.
All right,
He's
so
a
what
great,
do we
he's a
say?
great in-ring worker. You're killing me here right now. My logical side says Ray, but you know what? If you're going to book for the future, and at this stage in Ray's career, let's go with El Grande Americano. If you're wrong here, I'm going to be mad at you.
I think we're good. I think we're good. I think that's a solid win for us.
Okay.
Naomi versus Jade Cargill.
Jade.
I'm gonna go Jade here, but I'm telling you, I think Naomi is starting to gain legs. I know you're not a huge fan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we talked about this on air back a couple of weeks ago when they had the whole Bianca Belair, Naomi crying thing. I was moved. I thought it was great acting. Some people thought it was overacted.
Stop. Okay. Bianca was great acting. What?
I thought it was good, dude.
Oh,
I thought it was
God.
good. I actually had tears in my eyes. I got to be honest with you. I had tears in my eyes.
Young and the Restless or Bold and Beautiful, Mike? What's your favorite?
Young and the Restless, for sure.
Well, the fact that you knew how to answer that question that quickly confirms that Bianca Belair's acting was horrendous. Go ahead.
So you did not like that whole exchange.
No. Don't get me wrong. It was a good segment, and it came across just fine, but I did laugh out loud when I was watching Bianca Belair's reactions. I was like, that's so bad.
All right, how do you feel about, I know you're not the biggest Naomi fan. How are you feeling about Naomi at this point?
Much better. Well, I feel much better about her. This is better. Honestly, this is the best I've seen Naomi booked in a very, very... this is my favorite version of watching Naomi being booked. How's that?
Do you think it makes sense? Look, I'm agreeing with you. Jade's winning this match.
I think she should.
Should they do that, though? Should they have a double count out? Do you keep both characters going?
In the old days, we would have that. But who says this feud is over? This could be one of those that lasts a year and helps Jade Cargill cut her teeth in the ring.
Yeah, you're right, dude. It's like,
if you're going to learn how to wrestle, and isn't that one of the big things with Jade? She's got to get more well-rounded.
Yeah.
You work with Naomi.
Absolutely.
Say what I will about Naomi's character. Naomi the wrestler? What are you going to... Come on. Hello. Me got eyes.
Well, sir. So we got it. Jade Cargill.
Yep.
War Raiders against the New Day. If the New Day wins, I think that puts them in a tie with the Usos.
Yeah. Get them there. I want this. And this is not just my heart talking. Come on. The War Raiders, hey, great. They won the tag team title. I'm very happy for them because I've watched them when they were War Machine in New Japan. I get them completely. But this version of the New Day, the only version I've ever liked, despite all their success over the years, this version deserves it because their heel turn was absolutely a 10.
All right. No heart in here. Analytics, right? In our mind. It's got to be the New Day. If you have them lose to the War Raiders, you destroy the whole thing, right?
I'm sticking to our theme, Mike. I am. This makes sense. Do this.
Yep. I just want to make sure we're on pace because we'll probably could be doing us on ESPN,
hey,
and
look,
I don't want us changing.
El Grande Americano, so come on, Mike. We're here. We're doing it.
All right, LA Knight against Jacob Fatu.
Jacob Fatu has to be the most impressive buzzsaw I have seen come around, possibly ever, the way he does what he does. Give this man the fucking title. All right? And that's not even my heart talking here. This guy's been a Samoan version of Goldberg plus aerial wrestling.
So can I add something into this conversation just to give you a little... There are rumors, only from the internet wrestling community, the IWC,
here we go.
Jacob is a problem in the locker room and he's not keeping himself in good condition and he's kind of falling out of favor. Again, just the internet wrestling community. LA Knight, obviously, they just gave him the U.S. title back. I always believed LA Knight wasn't that good anyway. Honestly, I wasn't a big fan. I'm going to go with Jacob Fatu, but does Jacob Fatu win the U.S. heavyweight title, or does he just win the match via count out?
We're not going to play. We can't play those games, and I don't think Triple H is going to play those games. It's WrestleMania. We're going to have definitive results one way or the other because this is what his blueprints and his brief past of booking indicates. So Jacob Fatu should win his title. I mean, if that's true, what's going on behind the scenes, I don't understand that. He doesn't look any different than he did physically coming in, Mike. Do you see an extra jelly roll or two on his stomach? Am I missing something?
I don't. I think, again, just like El Grande Americano, just like the New Day, right, you'll do damage to what you've been building if they don't win. So, right.
Agreed.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm going Jacob Fatu. I'm a little concerned it's going to be like a disqualification. No, but I think if we pick the winner, that should be fair. Or do we have to say he's going to win the title?
No. I'm not going to give specific. I don't feel any bogus endings, though, with Triple H's booking.
That's fair. I agree with you.
I don't think it should.
This is one of the tougher ones, dude, because we really got to think this one out. Jey Uso, Gunther. Gunther just signed a new contract. He has his own locker room now. He's a big-time guy. I'll open up with this first before we even get into this match. You put Gunther in an independent show in New Jersey, okay? Gunther.
Sure. Following.
Is he drawing 5,000 fans for an indie show?
Yes. He is.
Okay.
Yeah, he is. If you advertise it right, yeah, he'll do that. Yeah, go ahead.
Can Gunther in a main event without CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, can he sell out Madison Square Garden in the main event?
Madison Square Garden?
Whatever. I use Madison Square Garden because it's awesome.
Well, now you're using the New York market, and the wrestling fans in New York are extremely passionate. So do I think that if he's the main event, who's the next biggest name on the card, please? You've eliminated all the sexy names. Who's the next biggest name?
We'll put Jacob Fatu on there.
Is it selling it? No, it won't sell at Madison Square Garden. You'll probably get 15,000 out of the 22 potential.
Okay. So Jey Uso.
Mm-hmm.
Gunther. I'm going to give you my analysis on this. I believe that they were hoping this would be the night one main event. They announced this when the Vegas tickets were not selling as expected. Not that they weren't selling well, but not as expected. When they announced this match, ticket sales did a very minor jump, very minor. So to your theory that Jey Uso is nothing but an opener, I'm starting to agree. And commonplace would be this would be the closing match of night one, but that's not the main event, so it's not going to be the closing match. So I thought to myself,
I told you.
But I said, okay, then it's got to be the opening match. If it's the opening match, Jey Uso is going to win the title. If it's anything in between, Gunther is going to retain and Jey Uso will continue to be the chaser. That's my opinion. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that though, right? Because, it's depending if it's on the opening match. So I'm going to say this, Jimmy, and convince me otherwise because I have time to switch. I'm saying Gunther is retaining.
All right. I think that from seeing what happens in the past, Triple H, before he was the booker that he is now, in the past, he watched the rise of Daniel Bryan and his father-in-law being forced to change a card. In the past, he watched his father-in-law deal with Kofi Kingston and being forced to change a card. What Triple H has done, and I've been thinking this as it's been happening, in the build-up to WrestleMania, what Triple H has done is something so subtly clever of him. If I'm right, he nipped this potential Daniel Bryan, this Yeet thing. We've talked about it for weeks and months now about how ridiculously over this is, and yet the wrestler himself doesn't feel like World Heavyweight Championship material. When it happened for Daniel Bryan, I understood it, and I think Daniel Bryan is a wrestler's wrestler. And I understood why the Yes movement happened, and I understood why the belt was put on Daniel Bryan. I did think he was worthy in the end. I didn't like the way they got there, but that's how they got there. With Kofi Kingston, I never took him as World Heavyweight Championship material. What Triple H is doing with this, I feel, is that he's found a way to nip it in the bud by overshadowing the Yeet movement with John Cena's heel turn and his chase for number 17 and the Seth Punk, there's the name, and Roman, the face of the last how many WrestleManias when you really look at it, and found a way to quiet and undercard the Yeet movement. Oddly enough, though, it's still selling merchandise. And I know how you feel about merchandise sales, and you know how the company feels about merchandise sales. So what I think is going to happen is Triple H is going to put the strap on Jey Uso, and we're going to get what we always get, Mike. We're going to get an underwhelming title run. Triple H knows this. Figure out if Gunther is newly signed again, right? Gunther will take it back from him, and life goes on. Will it sink Jey Uso's career? No. Kofi's had a wonderful career after his rise to championship. Nausea says it made me. So no. But I don't think the Yeet movement gets destroyed here. And that stays consistent on what we've been talking about as far as pulling, the right trigger. Gunther can lose this title, and I don't think Gunther's losing anything here compared to how we felt when Gunther lost to Sami Zayn. Does that make any sense?
No.
So I think
you know what? Great analysis.
You know?
I agree with you. The only thing I'm going to say is different. I thought that if they had announced this match and tickets started blowing out the door, it was a no-brainer. They were going to give the fans what they wanted. Jey Uso's champion.
Mike, but I think it was in the cards all along. That's what I was talking about with Triple H.
No, I understand. But my point is that it didn't sell what they expected. And
I don't
like
even
you said,
think Triple H expected it. That's
but
why
whatever the case may be, I agree with you. He kind of said, okay, let's get this out of the limelight. Let me bring in the bigger stars. Here are these main events that are going to happen. And I'm going to tell you that I guess we're going to be separated on this. I'm going Gunther. You're going to go Jay.
I hope you're right.
I know.
Can I say that? I hope you're right.
That's fine. That's fine.
But I don't know why that would crush the Yeet thing. That would crush it. And I don't think the Triple H is
again. I will say this: if
it's a
that match,
but he still gets a belt.
If that match opens WrestleMania, Jay will win. Anywhere else on the card, he is not winning. That's all I'm going to say. But I'm going to stick with it being Gunther because I don't think he's going to be the opening match anyway.
Okay.
Whoops, wrong one. All right. So we got Tiffany Stratton defending her WWE Women's Champion against the greatest women's wrestler of all time, the queen herself, Charlotte Flair.
You first. You're the ladies.
So to me is this, as much as the great haters of Charlotte Flair are out there and they'll be bitching and moaning, it does not make sense for Tiffany to beat Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. It makes no sense at all because where does Tiffany go from here? Okay, you might say, well, that's the chase. I'm sorry, if Tiffany beats Charlotte, where does she go from here? Who's next? Charlotte's not going to chase her. So who's next? Becky Lynch isn't in the future.
Becky Lynch
Bianca Belair. Is it going to be Jade Cargill? Is it going to be Naomi? No. Right? No. So it only makes sense to give Charlotte Flair number 6. Would it be 16 now?
I've lost track, but she's the greatest. Go on.
Okay. And then have Tiffany chase her all the way to SummerSlam.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, to me, this is a no-brainer. It's like you can't have – and you know what? I would tell you this too. If I was booking this match, I would say, Tiffany, you're going to get the shit kicked out of you from the beginning to the end. Like you were outmatched and you should not even have been in this fucking match.
You want to do – and I'm all for what you just said, by the way, but let me hammer it home. You want to do what happened to John Cena when the bell rang against Brock Lesnar that fateful night.
That's right.
Oh my God! How do you remember how amazing that was? By the way,
it was incredible.
Brock Lesnar beat him up for how many minutes, Mike? Was it over 20?
Yeah.
He literally threw him around, and John didn't get a single offensive moment in. But that's Brock Lesnar. Would you buy that if Charlotte does? I would love it.
I would buy it with Charlotte. Charlotte is that good, right?
Yeah, I can. Or how about a squash where she just, outsmarts her and powers her and gets her quick? I think it makes the most sense for Charlotte to be
And I
champion
also
anyway.
look at
I'm
it this
sorry.
way, right? Here's this look back in the day for the older people watching the show. There was Larry Holmes, right?
Oh,
Larry
go
Holmes,
on.
this veteran boxer who was just as good as Muhammad Ali in so many ways. And here comes Long Island's own Jerry Cooney. Jerry Cooney comes off knocking out Ken Norton in round one of the most vicious knockouts you could ever see in boxing.
And Ken Norton also fought who at Yankee Stadium, Mike? Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali, that's right.
In his prime.
So here's the young Jerry Cooney against this salty veteran Larry Holmes. Right. And Larry Holmes dismantles Jerry Cooney could have knocked him out in round 2, but just toys with him for like 13 rounds, I think it went for, or whatever it was. That Cooney was done.
Yeah.
I think they should be the young Tiffany Stratton. She's already said, I've only have a year in the business or whatever it is, and I'm already the champion. This is a perfect opportunity for Tiffy time to focus on getting and doing the chase and getting her revenge at SummerSlam. Charlotte Flair is an incredible heel, an incredible wrestler, and to me, it should be Tiffany starting over, getting to Raw roots, getting back what she well deserves. That's the way I look at this match.
Right. I agree. I completely agree. I can't even add that much to it other than this is the most logical thing. Look, you didn't bring Charlotte back for no reason. Come on. Charlotte Flair's not coming back for no reason.
Right.
So you have to make it count. And I love the heat that Charlotte's getting. I love it. I actually laugh at it.
And guys, let's not forget handling it. You got Jade Cargill right around the corner. If you get her trained up, her and Charlotte Flair could have some really kick-ass matches. Really kick-ass matches.
Power versus power.
That'll be fantastic. God. Incredible.
It could be.
Eventually leading to Bianca and Jade colliding at some point, which off the hook.
Right.
Off the hook. But we'll get to that match.
In premise, yes.
Your main event. Triple threat.
There it is.
Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and our man Roman Reigns. You open this one up, buddy.
You know how happy I am, right? Can I nerd out for a minute that when you show me that when you say WrestleMania main event, you put that up and I see CM Punk there, you know how happy I am to see that. You know, what a nerd I am. I've loved him from day one. I couldn't stand when he went to AEW. I'm so happy that they were idiots over there and found a way to fuck with a guy that was actually bringing them eyeballs to their program. And then he got a chance to come back to the Yankees where he belongs. Yeah, we're from New York, but you know what? That's what the WWE is to the professional wrestling world. They're the fucking Yankees, and he came home. And he's been nothing but a great hand this entire time, and here we go. He's there. He's right there. Great go-home show, by the way, involving all of them. What did you think of that?
I thought it was incredible. And I thought, like, there's so many ways they can go with this. I'm waiting to hear what you have to say because –
No,
again,
I want you to go first.
No, you're first. I did the Charlotte one first. See, it's on you, man.
Oh, boy. Now, here's the painful part for me. For some stupid reason, and it goes against logic. Sometimes you have to do that when you throw yourself out there like this. But logically, when the one guy would have the upper hand at the go-home show, that's not how it would turn out, right? Normally, when the main event would come forward, if he got the last shots in at the go-home show, he was usually doomed. Traditionally. Am I wrong about that, Mike? I don't think I am.
Not at all.
All right. But why do I keep thinking to myself that it's Seth Rollins that walks out of there as the winner?
So that, Jimmy, is almost okay. That's the one that makes the most sense. Paul Heyman turns on both of them and goes with Seth, right? Seth is the one that would benefit the most out of it, right? If he sticks with CM Punk, okay. He sticks with Roman, okay. Neither one is gaining anything from that. Seth has the opportunity to gain something.
Right, we've been there and done that with those two. This would be quite the shock and surprise. And you know what's funny? If you told me any one of these three men win this match, outside of the fact that we've been cornered by making observations tonight, I'll be happy with any one of the three that win this match.
I agree.
I love them all. This is one of those matches. That's where wrestling has changed a lot for us, considering we're traditionalists to go back decades and decades and decades. Where would we ever sit down when we were kids and go, I can't wait to see Greg Valentine. I'm using our favorites as examples. Right. Greg Valentine versus Don Morocco versus Sergeant Slaughter. As faces, for God's sakes, like having face aspects, which is what all of these guys have. We've got gray matter today when it comes to heels and faces, right? I mean, Roman's a good guy and loved right now, but has he changed at all the way he acts when he was a bad guy and despised? Not at all. That's the gray area of character change that's happened, what we see today. So it's interesting to me, like, it doesn't matter who wins this match. I'm happy. We didn't have that feeling back in the day. It was good guy, bad guy, and okay. Who am I rooting for?
You're using your analytical mind, and I think you're right. But I'm going to tell you my gut feeling, and I'm sticking with it. I know we're supposed to be analytical here, but I just have
if you say what I'm thinking outside the box,
feeling.
Go ahead.
I have this feeling.
Yeah.
That somewhere, see, the problem is Kevin Owens, right? If Kevin Owens was around, Kevin Owens was around,
all right.
But I'm going to go with this.
Kevin.
Drew McIntyre.
What?
Drew McIntyre.
What?
Somebody else are coming out during this match, guys, and they're going to back up Seth Rollins, and they're going to start to beat, at some point in this match, beat the shit out of Roman Reigns and CM Punk. I really feel like this is going to happen, Jimmy, so I'm sticking with it, and if I got to take the loss on this, I am.
On behalf of Seth.
On behalf of Seth.
Well, now, Drew does absolutely hate Punk and Roman. So that's interesting that you see that, but why if I'm going to have a wild...
Well, I want you to hear me out, and then you can please comment.
Okay.
They're beating the shit out of him. Heyman is freaking out on the sidelines. At some point, they're going to corner Heyman, right? Because Seth told him, now you owe me one. Brock Lesnar's coming out.
I knew it. That's what I was going to say.
Were you really?
The same fucking thing I am. No. This is live TV. Okay, and I'm not going, I knew. That's exact. I was thinking to myself, if he drops the dun, 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 first of all, the fans will have a fucking meltdown.
And just think about this. I hate to use this.
Has he been canceled, though?
Punk? No. He says he's retired from pro wrestling last week.
Canceled by the same people that boo other people.
I think if that music comes out, no one gives a shit about his stupid text message with Janelle Grant.
I would lose it.
Now you have Paul Heyman with CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Brock Lesnar. Call them whatever you want. The Three Horsemen, the two, whatever you want to call them. And you're just making the greatest faction of all time.
Right, but if you make that faction, though, how do you get there during this match? You don't get there like that during this match where he leaves with Punk and Roman and Brock. You can't get there that way during this match.
I kind of feel like that's happening,
What I'm thinking is that if we see Brock Lesnar, the only reason we see Brock Lesnar is that Heyman is now, whoever was going to help him is unconscious, and he's about to take a terrible beating, and then Brock comes out of nowhere, and
he saves CM Punk, he saves Roman Reigns, and he saves Punk. I don't know if they all hug in the middle of the ring, but you're looking at
just been killing each other.
All right, I'm gonna even take a chance. Can I just say this? Can I just say this?
Go ahead.
The Dangerous Alliance, dude. I just thought about it. The Dangerous Alliance.
Dangerous Alliance.
Remember the Dangerous Alliance?
Is he gonna buy a mullet? We can get a walkie-talkie.
All I'm saying is,
that's terrible.
Call me crazy, but I feel like this is happening.
Wow. Now I smell Brock Lesnar. Like when we both go outside, and you and I, like back in the day during winter recess, and we go, I smell snow. One of us thought maybe it's a foot. One of us thought it's maybe 4 inches. So I smell Brock Lesnar just like you do. But I don't think that that's what we're getting at here. If Brock returns, Brock Lesnar's not going to come back and be like, yeah, sure, I'll share you with so-and-so. And if he does, man, the money that they must have thrown at
Dude, think about it, though. Think about it. You got Roman Reigns, the face of the company, CM Punk, the most popular wrestler of all time. And now you bring in Brock Lesnar.
Right.
Dude,
Now,
think about the
what I'm
three-way
thinking,
matches you could have
well,
with these guys.
this is what I'm thinking. What I'm thinking, well, it would be great, and they would totally dominate. It would be great. I'm not saying it wouldn't, but what I'm thinking is that if Lesnar is not part of this equation, like let's say Lesnar comes out and floors all three of them, he's Brock Lesnar. He's not going to spare somebody. I don't see it. When he comes out, he vacuum cleans. Right? So if he comes out, he's going to come out to Heyman's assistance. No one else's. Paul's his guy.
But CM Punk's his best
So
friend. Roman Reigns is his tribal chief.
Let me finish what I think. Also, look, you talked about a possible storyline, right? This is what I see as another possible storyline. Lesnar comes out, cleans all of their clocks, and Paul leaves with him. How's Roman going to feel? You fucking betrayed me. How's Punk going to feel? You fucking betrayed me. How's Rollins going to feel? How the hell did I get fucked in all of this? And why are we all lying here unconscious? What the fuck just happened? Paul owed me a favor for not curb stomping him. Okay? This is where you could potentially do something that I know you might go, what the fuck? But at the end of the day, who created the Shield? CM Punk. Who created the Shield? CM Punk. So if Lesnar comes out and floors all of them, and Heyman betrays all three of them, when you really think about it,
so CM Punk becomes the third member of the Shield.
You have a new Shield, and you don't need Jon Moxley, because if CM Punk's in it, guess what? It's not going to fail. It's one of those things that you can go back to, and if you insert a different member, look, the Four Horsemen weren't always successfully just one Four Horsemen.
I get it. I get it.
This could work. Like, I can see Reigns and Rollins putting their fists in the middle of the ring
scenario,
and then I could see stuff
either
like
scenario works for me, but the common sense would be that Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman's going to turn on both Punk. But to me, it doesn't even make sense. Like, how could you tell that story? Like, look, I just decided to go with Seth.
Here's what we're falling short of, and we got to stay consistent with tonight's program flow as far as matches go, right? We're trying to be analytical. Let's not think outside the box. Let's not think about Brock Lesnar. Let's just think what goes on in this match. And logically, to me, if it's just the three of them and a storyline that's going to stick to no outsiders with big names coming in, Heyman should leave with Rollins. He should leave with Rollins.
Well, that makes the most sense. Rollins is the one. Rollins is the one that will benefit by that.
And you know something? That script alone doesn't need to be fucked with. So if Triple H turned to you and me and was like, I like your ideas, but I'm not bringing any outsiders in for this thing, and I want to do it this way where Heyman leaves with, Seth. And I would be like, that's fine. That's going to get over.
And Seth is hateable too, right? So, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. I mean, that's the more common thought, but I'm going to stick with Brock Lesnar showing up.
All right. Does Rollins win the match, though, Mike?
I honestly feel like there's going to be an alliance between Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and somebody else. If Kevin Owens is around, and somebody else.
Okay.
Again, we still got to talk about Randy Orton, but, does I don't know. But I still got a strange feeling that Lesnar's coming out to save the day. In some way, those three are going to be a unified group together. But your scenario is fine. My scenario is fine. But you're right. The most common thing that probably will happen is Rollins turns with Rollins.
Yeah. All right. He owes him a favor, too, for not curb stomping him. So
there you go. Let's go to night 2.
Sure. Yeah.
Opening up, AJ Styles, Logan Paul. This will be off the hook match for sure.
You want to give me your take first, since we're going back and forth?
Logan Paul. I mean, AJ Styles on his way out. This guy, again, at a certain age, it's like you got to pass the torch, right? What good does it do to have AJ Styles beat Logan Paul?
No good for Logan Paul, and no good for the future of what they've been doing with Logan Paul for the past couple of years. So exactly. I agree that Logan Paul should win the match, but AJ Styles is still so great. Figured I'd throw that in.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. He is. I mean, look how buff he got too, man. He's built like a brick shithouse.
Yep.
All right, so we're going with Logan Paul.
Yeah.
And then we've got Damian Priest against Drew McIntyre. This one's a tough one to call, man.
It should be a tough one to call, but I still feel like Drew's got to win this match. I feel that way about Drew.
I'm in agreement with you. And I got to tell you, AJ Styles, Logan Paul will be great. I'm really not into the McIntyre Damian Priest match. I just like That's the first match that I'm like, about. Everything else I've been jacked for. Even LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, I'm jacked for that match. It's going to be a great match.
Right. Well, I do think that they'll be able to give you a very good match, though. I think it'll be a very good match. It should be.
Tag team, Liv Morgan, Rodriguez, tag team champions against Bailey and was that Valkyrie, right?
Right.
Am I saying the name right? I think so.
Leah Valkyrie?
Yeah, I'm not even understanding why she's in this. It's like we got to put her in WrestleMania. Isn't she the Intercontinental Champion?
Yeah, they're just but those belts. How much have they meant since?
Dude, can I ask you what is the WWE's fascination with her? I'm not getting it.
I don't know.
What's Tyra Valkyrie? Is her name?
Tyra Valkyrie or whatever the heck. Something Viking and Norse. That's fine. I don't know what their fascination is with her. It doesn't do anything for me. Bailey's being a good company hand by being involved in this match. Let me ask you this: since you pay much more close attention to the women and their popularity, is Morgan and Rodriguez getting over as champions? Does it even matter?
I will say this: I really kind of dig Rodriguez now, but they still need to do a better job. I've said it before of making her Big Mommy cool, instead of Big Daddy cool. She's got to be Big Mommy cool. Like she's got to be tougher than everybody else.
Right.
Like she's a big lady. It's not like she's a small lady. She's got to put whoopings on it. And she takes like when she wrestles, she takes a beating. Like people beat her up, and it's like I don't agree with that. Like
right.
What happened to the point where someone is like it almost goes back to AEW when they brought in Camille as with Mercedes Moné's bodyguard. They made Camille look like garbage, and I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, this is wrestling 101. How could Monte the Pharaoh know more wrestling than a booker at AEW or even or a writer at the WWE? Right. This is wrestling 101. This is Big Mommy cool. She's supposed to be Liv Morgan's fucking heater. You know what I mean?
Well, traditionally, the only way to get her over is to have her become the sympathetic figure and Liv being a bitch to her. So is this?
Well, that's got to be later on, right? That's got to be later on.
Well, then that means that they should still hold the belts because if it and leave her in limbo. So if you want to have the improvement in her push. This needs to happen sooner rather than later. Perhaps Raquel gets pinned during this fucking match and Liv is,
So let's use analytics here. You're not putting a tag team belt on the Intercontinental Champion.
No, why would I do that?
So it's got to be Liv and Raquel defending.
To me, it should be. I mean, what is the purpose of this match anyway? Can I just this is my bathroom break. Flush.
Oh wow, I would think McIntyre Priest would be your
Are you kidding me? Watching two behemoths crash through tables and stuff? No, I'll watch that.
Look at fucking Liv Morgan, dude.
Oh, I love Liv Morgan.
Bailey's smoking hot and Raquel's
stop with Bailey.
Hot.
She's got like two cushions.
Baby got back, baby.
Bailey's she's fine. But
here's an exciting match, and this one's a tough one.
Yeah.
Four-way Braun Breaker defending his IC title against Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio, both from the Judgment Day. And Dominic and Finn have been having problems every week. A lot of stuff going on this match. And Penta is over like Rover, so.
Wow. Well, you go first. Or you want me to go first? This is rough,
yeah, you go first.
Well, part of me thinks to myself right away, Braun Breaker shouldn't lose the belt. Because I like Braun Breaker a lot, and I like that he's got a belt. Then there's Penta, like basically my favorite masked wrestler ever. I think I've said that before.
Really?
Yeah.
Over Mil Mascaras, huh?
Over Mil Mascaras. When was I ever a Mil Mascaras fan?
Over Masked Superstar?
We were laughing at Ginsburg when Mil Mascaras got dumped out of that battle royal, and he was like, in tears and stuff. What are you talking about? Over who else? You mentioned somebody.
Masked Superstar?
I liked Masked Superstar, but no, there's something about Pentagon. I've always loved Pentagon. I used to watch on YouTube. When I lost access to the Spanish wrestling, I started to watch AAA on YouTube, and that's where I first saw Pentagon, and I was like, oh my God. Cero miedo. Oh my God. I loved him. I loved his mask. He was like the shit. I always thought he was the shit, and I love that he's over now, and he's at the playing for the Yankees. There I go again. I'd love to see him win, but the sexy script, Mike, are we analyzing or are we just like, trying to be writers like everybody else? Ugh, I'm making myself sick here, but the sexy script would be that somehow Dominic pins Balor for the belt.
Yes. I'm going Dominic all the way with this, Jimmy. I think it's
Interesting.
no brainer. It's Dominic.
I don't even think we talked about this beforehand. This is weird. We're both seeing Brock Lesnar. We didn't talk about that beforehand. And now we're seeing Dominic Mysterio walking out with the Intercontinental title.
I think it's time. Talk about a heat magnet as Intercontinental Champion. My God.
Plus, it will cause more friction with the ongoing friction in the Judgment Day. If he pins Finn, oh my God.
That's what I think it's about too, Jimmy. It's about future matches and what you can get out of it, right?
Well, here's what I think, though, then. This is what confuses me. Are we about to see, because you just said he's a heat magnet, which he is. But if during the match, look, you got the two faces, you got Breaker and Penta. They're faces. Agreed? Agreed. Then you got Finn. Fans don't like Finn. He's a total heel. Total heel. So if that moment comes in the match where the faces are, not available because they're down on the ground somewhere, and Finn is now down on the ground, and Dominic has that chance and looks at the crowd, I bet you that's where the crowd tells Dominic after killing him all this time, get him! And Dominic, if he's smart, because he's been smart, he's going to look at the crowd and milk that moment. Should I? And then he's going to get on the top rope. Riva La Raza. Bang. And we're going to watch Dominic Mysterio become one of the most beloved guys.
Oh, you're talking he's going to become fit. No.
But wait a minute. The fans are just telling him to go do it, and he does it. You don't
because it's in that moment for the second, dude. It's for that moment, right?
You motherfucker. Are you kidding me?
Listen, I totally love that scenario, but I'm thinking about Dominic being this Intercontinental Champion that can't beat anybody, but he just gets counted out.
All right,
he gets disqualified.
If you're going to do it that way, then he has to pin Penta or Breaker. And he's
really
not
can't
Breaker.
It
can't be Balor. It can't. No, not if he's going to be a face about it. There's no way he. Well, you could. I guess you could. I'm looking for a.
I get your point. If you do it like you said, does all of a sudden Dominic become this great good guy?
Well,
I just think you just all of a sudden lose him as a good guy, right?
Listen, long term, and you know how I've talked very glowingly about Dominic's long term. His full career. He's so young right now. Okay, at some point in his career, he has to be the fullness of what Eddie was. And I really think that that's who he's molding his career after. It's not after his dad, for real. He's molding his career after Eddie. And what Eddie was and had to become throughout the course of his career was not just a great heel, because Eddie was a great heel, a great face. And this has to happen for Dominic. So to me, if you want this to start happening for him, you can always get back to heel Dominic. Trust me. A pro knows how.
All right, but let me ask you this. Then you got to talk about future state, though, Jimmy. So this happens. Yeah. It's incredible.
Right.
How does Dominic defend the belt? He's going to get his ass kicked in every match, right? So as a good guy, how's he going to defend the belt and come up with a win?
Well, you might want to have to take those tag titles that we just talked about off Liv Morgan and let her help him a lot.
Either which way, we're saying either which way, good guy, bad guy, we're going Dominic.
I feel like that would be the clever thing to do. It's not what I want, though.
Before we get to the main event, Randy Orton was supposed to fight Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens hurt his neck. Number one, I don't think it's a work. But if it is, okay. Who's Randy Orton wrestling? Who's coming out to face Randy Orton?
I don't see anybody. Do you?
Is there any free agent out there that they're waiting on?
Why do I keep thinking that Randy Orton, since he doesn't have a match and you want Randy Orton to have an appearance, why do I keep thinking for some oddball reason that Randy Orton RKO's Cody Rhodes and helps John win the 17th title? The Joker helps his Batman. And everybody is confused because at the end of the day, Randy Orton was the Joker to John Cena's Bat, but he helps him. He helps him win that title. One way or the other, I feel that John Cena is walking out of WrestleMania as a 17-time world champion.
Then what's the game plan? Does he says he's going to retire with it. What's the game plan?
The game plan is that, and it will get over, is that now we go back to the traditional thrill of the chase for the face, and that's what got Cody here in the first place.
Yeah, but he says he's retiring. He's going home. He's done.
That's what he says.
Done. Do we go? Do we say,
that,
okay, now you're stripped of the title, and we're going to have a tournament?
Well, if they do that, okay, fine, whatever. I'd rather not see that. What he says and what's yet to come could very well be two different things. You know, John may want to defend that title for a while, and I think it would make sense if
and he's a bad guy. Bad guys lie, right? So bad guys lie.
Full 8 months for the most part left in this calendar year before John retires. There's definitely put the strap on him and let Cody chase him and get it back.
So Cody,
and it'll be fine.
So Randy Orton comes, screws Cody Rhodes.
Yeah.
Cody then has a feud with Randy Orton.
Yeah.
And John moves on to feuding with whoever. If he does.
What happens is that John's first title defense is not going to be Cody, and that's going to frustrate Cody. It's going to be Randy because Randy wants a match. That's why he did. I helped you, motherfuckers. Randy goes right back to. At some point, Randy and John are going to be in the ring at some point. Before
it could be that John Cena has to go through the Dangerous Alliance.
Oh, look at you! Oh,
right? One by one
wow.
by one.
So what? Lesnar, Reigns, and Rollins are good guys with Heyman?
CM Punk Lesnar, and Reigns.
Where's Rollins in all of this?
He's part of that bad guy team along with Drew McIntyre and
we're breaking everybody into factions. What the hell are you doing? Yeah. What's next? Nation of Domination?
I honestly think this is. In my heart, I feel like this is happening.
Bloodlines, 3 bloodlines.
I feel like this is happening, dude. I feel like this is what's going to go on, but we'll see. I don't know. But we're both saying that John Cena has to come away with the title.
Yeah, I believe he does. I believe he does.
We got a lot on the line this WrestleMania. I'm jacked for it, bro.
Yeah. Did we get both nights?
We finished both nights.
Wow. That's a pretty loaded card for the most part. There's
I got to tell you, people were hating on this card, dude. And I'm like, what are you hating on this card? It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, there's only a couple of matches where I was like, so what? Everything else is pretty good.
To me, there was like one match. I was like, everything else was pretty good.
Man, where's Nakamura?
Where's Nakamura?
He went back to Japan.
All right, guys, so we're almost done. I want to announce next week at 7:30, I am jacked for this, Jimmy. We are having Holly Von Eric Atkinson, daughter of Carrie Von Eric.
Ooh.
Lacey Von Eric and Holly are both the daughters of Carrie Von Eric. Lacey Von Eric, if anyone's seen her, is one beautiful woman. Incredible. I got to tell you, Holly Von Eric, just as gorgeous. Unbelievable. And I'm going to tell you guys, you talked like Jimmy asked me where was Piper on my list. I said he's in my top 5. Carrie Von Eric is in my top 5. Has always been. I'm a huge Carrie Von Eric fan. I don't know if you could see back there. Maybe you can. No, I'm sorry. Carrie is on the other wall. But Carrie, I'm just really jacked about this because there's so many questions I want to ask this girl beyond who her famous father was. I mean, could you imagine Jimmy growing up as a Von Eric in Texas? Like what life was like?
You know, not to turn it around, but what is it about Carrie Von Eric that made you love him so much? Was it his physical prowess? I mean, just looking at him, yes, I understand why by looking at him, you would think that. But I never fully got the Carrie Von Eric thing. I never did.
So, couple things. Growing up, I was into bodybuilding.
Yes. David,
I was into bodybuilding, right? And if anyone is into bodybuilding, there's so many great bodybuilders out there. But if you again, that's one thing I love about Vince McMahon because he was into bodybuilding too. And it's not that I was a bodybuilder. I was a weightlifter, but I certainly did not have the body of a bodybuilder at all. No matter how hard I tried, I could never lean out and chisel myself up. It just never worked. But If anyone's ever seen Pumping Iron, I'm sure everybody did, but Schwarzenegger, when he was in his heyday, was the most symmetrical human being around. From his shoulders to his biceps to his thighs. They always said he had some like weak calves, but I never saw it. Symmetrically, Schwarzenegger was the perfect bodybuilder, was chiseled like a god. Even when you see Tony Atlas in the Stark Side, Jimmy, Tony's chiseled great, but he's not in the shape of a Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger looks so much better than Atlas. Shocking as I'm saying this, so much better. But
Schwarzenegger in '75 was like a perfect specimen.
Absolutely. But that being said, if any human being I've ever saw came close to Schwarzenegger's body, it was Carrie Von Eric. Carrie Von Eric, let me tell you something. A lot of people, like, Ultimate Warrior was a huge guy, right, Jimmy?
Yeah.
So Hellwig and Carrie were good friends. There's a lot of pictures out there when they were in the WWE together because they used to tag together. Carrie is much bigger than the Warrior. Yeah. Much bigger. It's not. It's not even close.
Look at Carrie's face.
Yeah.
Carrie is. You know what? Carrie had what? Who's that awesome actor in Sons of Anarchy? The guy who was Perlman. Was it Ron Perlman?
Yeah, Ron Perlman.
You look at that guy and you can see, and it's not a knock. You can see how long we've been around.
Absolutely.
You understand what I'm getting at? Because they basically have those old time, way before we looked the way we look today.
Jimmy, I go to the Missy Hyatt interview, and I think you asked a question about Carrie Von Eric to her.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, oh my God. He was like a Greek god. Women fell over for him.
Yeah, or at least run to the very front row, right?
Yeah. And you know what? To me, he was a good wrestler. His mic skills were lacking. Okay, that's I mean, as much as I loved him.
That's why I never fully gravitated to him. I never got attached to Carrie Von Eric, the persona in the ring. And I guess I look for that with everything. Like, I'll use an example since it's from Territory days. Dick Slater. When I looked at Dick Slater, I saw a guy who would hop off the back of a flatbed truck and just beat the shit out of everybody at a bar.
Right.
That's what I saw. And he came across that way when he talked. When he talked, you could almost see the tobacco hitting your freaking sofa.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's like, okay, I buy into him. Dick Murdoch, built like a baked potato. Would you really want to? You didn't see the character in Dick Murdoch? I was like, oh my God, this motherfucker. No, thank you. Keep me away. You know, years later, the extreme version of Dick Murdoch was born. He's our buddy, the Sandman. You know what I'm getting at? You know, like, you got to gravitate to the character. And Carrie Von Eric didn't have enough organic character for me. Yeah, he looked like superior to Warrior. I agree, superior to Warrior. You know what? Carrie Von Eric was the most impressive specimen that's ever walked into a ring. And if anybody's in the conversation, it's Mr. Wonderful.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point.
Let's just keep it right there, because those are the guys that were the barometer. Is like, you know, if you want to have a body and be able to be a professional wrestler, this is the ultimate example of what it looks like when you really are a natural for this. My God, Carrie Von Eric, physically, oh my God.
I'm really interested, in fact, Jimmy, to ask her how she felt growing up as a Von Eric. How about dating? Like, you got to think, if you're this Von Eric.
He's a rock star. What do you mean dating?
I'm talking about her dating.
Oh, her dating.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
It's like, do they just want to date me because, I mean, obviously she's a beautiful woman, but do they just want to date me because I'm a Von Eric?
That's only natural, though, that you would think that.
But I mean, would only be natural. There's so much. Like, she wrote me today. She's like, they're doing a special on A&E about Von Eric's. You know, it'd be great to talk about that.
Yeah.
I said, trust me, Holly, there'd be so much to talk about. We could probably talk for 8 hours. I'm not, you know, like, this is an interview where there's so much meat on the bone, and it's beyond the Von Eric family. I'm interested to know about her, right? Like, what it's like being that. I mean, it's incredible, right?
Yeah, I can imagine that, you know, it could be a lot of pressure.
Oh my God. Crazy.
I would think that there's a lot of pressure involved in all those sorts of things. I mean, look, how often does it work out? Especially if you're trying to be a wrestler in the next generation. How often has that worked out?
I don't know. I never.
You know, it's like, well, I think
it doesn't. Very rarely.
Well, it worked out for Bray, but it didn't work out in life for Bray. It worked out on the card, but
I hate to say this, Jimmy. I know you're a huge fan of Bray Wyatt.
Don't. Before you go into all of this, you're talking about a 2-time world champion who definitely had
I get it,
moments.
but my belief, I never liked him as a wrestler. I
I
enjoyed
know.
his characters, but once he went to wrestle, everything fell apart to me.
It was all right with
And
him.
I honestly feel he's one of those guys that when he passed, his legend grew. I feel like his legend would have been whatever if not.
No.
And I don't want to be insulting there,
No,
okay? Because I heard was a great guy, and he was so smart. All I'm saying is a fan.
He had a legitimate fan base, Mike.
I'm just saying, Jimmy. I'm saying as a fan. I'm just saying as a fan. You know what I mean? I'm just saying as a fan.
No, I know.
That's the way I looked at it. I'm not trying to be insulting to the guy at all. I mean, the guy definitely has his fans, like you said. He has a huge fan base. I just felt like, but that's just me.
Did Barry Windham surpass Blackjack Mulligan?
Yeah.
Of course he did.
Blew him away.
Yeah.
Blew him away.
Barry Windham. Come on, Barry Windham.
Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair bypass Ric Flair?
No.
That's fair. No. I'm not going to argue that.
No. But did Charlotte Flair do everything to uphold the Flair legacy? Yes. So there's that.
Curtis Axel passed.
Unfortunately, not even. There's a not even close. Yeah. At least Blackjack was Blackjack. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not
Mulligan, like for real, had a fist fight with Andre the Giant. It's legendary. You know about it. I
mean, did Terry Gordy's son bypass Terry Gordy? No.
Nope. Not even close.
Yeah, so most of the time I agree with you, Jimmy. It just doesn't work out.
Yeah, it's hard to follow.
But then did Roman Reigns bypass Sika, right? I think
Roman Reigns bypassed everybody in the family outside of the final boss.
So there's one that that's a win, right?
There's a few we've just pointed out. It does happen, but it's not,
So anyway, next week we've got Holly on, and the week after we've got WCW. The Maestro will be on at 7. The Maestro making an appearance on. We're making a push now. We're battling with these other people who would keep trying to follow us and ping on people. And I'm sure that after we're done with these two guys, everybody else will want to have them. You know what I mean? And if they had them before us, I know they didn't have Holly, but if they had the Maestro before us, I'm sure their interview will pale compared to what we're about to do.
I'm editing you out of the show.
And then I'm trying to book for the following week AEW wrestler, but I'm just waiting for official
AEW? Don't let us talk to their wrestlers? Wow.
Monte The Pharaoh, baby. Look,
wow.
We won't be in Vegas, unfortunately. Some other people, most of the podcasts are, Vegas for WrestleMania. They got WrestleCon out there, so if you're trying to promote your podcast, most of them went out there. Hannibal's out there. The kid from England, I think, flew in there.
Oh, cheerio.
Lee Cole. I think Dan and Benny flew in.
Lee Cole.
I know. It's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, what are you going
serious? This whole WrestleMania feels wrong.
I don't even know what wrestling is.
Yeah. I don't know. That booking decision, there's something behind that. I've got to look into it.
Dan and Benny are going. I think Dan and Benny are going to Vegas.
No, they're not. Would you stop it? They are not.
So.
First of all, Dan has cats to take care of.
You think Dan would bring his cats to Vegas?
I brought my cats. He's got the carrying boxes with the drawer, and they're not even the safe ones. They're like those cardboard ones you fold together.
Do you think fans come up to the Dan and Benny show with their cats and say, "Dan, can you sign my cat for me?"
No, better yet, like a poor autograph, and then he signs his name underneath it. Now that would be something to hang.
I meant to ask you, what is Benny in competition and growing his hair longer than yours? What is that all about?
What are we doing here right now? How did we get into this conversation?
I don't know, but you brought it up. I don't know.
To grow his hair longer than mine?
Do you see how long his hair is now?
Well. Yeah, it did kind of grow fast.
Dude, his hair is I'm like, what is he competing with Pharaoh for long hair?
His hair did grow really fast, though. You think he's eating that What-A-Day cereal?
Andrew Anderson's going to be at Vegas with his new podcast, Renegade Radio.
Andrew Anderson's retiring like Cena. How's that? I don't know if you heard.
I saw it posted on Facebook. All 4 comments were doing, they were all into it. Yeah.
I didn't realize I was serving you up. Okay.
But no, seriously, he's going to be there with his lovely wife or girlfriend, Miss Linda. They'll be promoting Renegade Radio. See, Andrew, I'm giving you a shout out, buddy. Renegade Radio. Yeah.
Miss Linda.
His girlfriend.
I thought her name's Karen. Did I miss something?
Oh, Miss Karen. I'm sorry.
Miss Linda?
It's Miss Karen. I'm sorry.
What the hell is going on here?
Well, thank you for. I forgot.
And you have to come up with a name like Linda. What are you trying to do to me?
I didn't mean it like that, dude. I'm
like getting nauseous over here. Stop.
But anyway, Renegade Radio. I'm giving it a pop.
Renegade
there you go. Radio
Cheap
will be
pop.
in Vegas.
Hey, from your local cable cast, Cheap Pop. Hi. Come on.
Man, there's so many shows. So many shows.
There I was, minding my own business when someone else dropped a load of shit.
2-man power trip. Look, I'm naming everybody. I'm giving names. I'm not cutting them out. 2-man power trip.
What about perched on the top rope?
Perched. He doesn't talk to me anymore.
Why is that? What happened?
So I don't know. We did that show on Dylan Hines with RVD, and he just doesn't talk to us anymore. I don't know. He's mad. I guess. I don't know.
Man,
I didn't know that he was
mad about
like
what?
He was that butthurt over Dylan Hines.
Wow. Man, oh man. Well,
look, dude, to be honest with you, we're pretty fucking hated, dude. I never realized how hated we are.
Oh,
I gotta ask the fans, why do people hate us so much? What did we do wrong?
I have for quite a while. Because we're trying
No, but it's getting bad when people are stopping a interview to cut out names. I'm like, oh my effing God, are you kidding me right now?
Dude, we're the Sex Pistols of wrestling radio.
You will never mention their name on my show.
Yeah. Well, that's okay.
And the other guy from Hannibal's show, the VP of some Canadian wrestling organization, he's there. He'll be there.
Was that Looney Tune that wrote us that one time, or wrote somebody? So that guy's a
he wrote
Looney
a page.
Tune.
Yeah, he got loony on us. Another lunatic French.
He's a complete idiot. And if I'm not,
he's a complete idiot.
He is a complete idiot. And if I'm correcting the dots right, I think the Mountie himself thinks he's a complete idiot.
I think you may be right.
I think that if I've got this right, yeah, that guy's a fruitcake. See, well, that's comforting. Canada has fruitcakes too. Nice. Boo, your national anthem, I never will. Go on.
That is all. That's all I gotta say.
That is all.
So it's so very in the podcasting wrestling world, guys. There's so much exciting stuff going on from, every show, and they're all in Vegas. Monte The Pharaoh or not, though, they'll be at Wahoo Saloon and at Monty's house watching WrestleMania.
I'm in Panama City Beach during spring break. Doc.
All right, listen, very important interview next week. I need you totally focused, very rested. We've got Holly Von Eric. Holly Von Eric.
Yeah.
We could ask her about her podcast. She was on the Von Eric podcast that was doing. I actually enjoyed it. I used to watch it every week, and then it just got disappeared and everything left. I don't even know what happened.
Well, we'll find out next week.
We will. Exciting. All right, Jimmy.
Sweet.
Send us out, big man.
You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh. Enjoy WrestleMania. Later.
Oh, by the way, catch us on ESPN tomorrow at what time, Jimmy?
Well, that would be, let me see, 6:20 your time Eastern and 5:20 my time Central.
6:20, 5:20. Catch us on YouTube on ESPN Florida. Jimmy, talk to you later, big man.
Later.